Xavi Simons' transfer timeline emerges as talks opened for Chelsea defender. Hope you're all having an amazing day. Before we get started, if you're a true football fan, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash the thumbs up. Let's jump right into the action. The transfer window rarely delivers its most compelling stories in a straight line. Instead, the footballing world is treated to swirling speculation, sudden twists, and the occasional bombshell that changes the narrative overnight. The developing saga of Xavi Simons and Chelsea is quickly becoming one of those tales, a story that intertwines elite European talent with a club desperate to sharpen its identity ahead of another defining season. What began as quiet whispers has now escalated into open discussions. According to multiple reports, Chelsea have initiated talks around their defensive situation, and, in parallel, a clear timeline has emerged over the potential signing of Dutch prodigy Xavi Simons. This double thread of transfer intrigue highlights the scale of Chelsea's ambitions and the balancing act of refreshing a squad that has struggled for consistency despite its staggering investment. Simons, only 21, but already a name synonymous with technical brilliance, creativity, and tactical versatility, has found himself at the heart of a continental tug-of-war. Born in Amsterdam and shaped through Barcelona's famed La Masia Academy before blossoming under the bright lights of Paris Saint-Germain and RB Leipzig, he has long been touted as one of Europe's brightest midfield sparks. That Chelsea are now deeply embedded in discussions over his future signals their intent to finally bridge the gap between promise and performance. The London club knows the importance of securing the type of player who not only fits the system but also elevates it, and Simons looks every inch that profile. But where the story becomes even more fascinating is how it overlaps with Chelsea's defensive conundrum. Sources close to the negotiations suggest that talks have been opened over the future of one of their defenders, with the club willing to entertain the possibility of departures if it allows them to accelerate priority deals. Chelsea have spent the past 2 summers stockpiling young talent, but an imbalance remains across the squad, particularly in defense, where numbers are bloated but reliability is scarce. This has created a need for ruthless clarity, and the willingness to reshape could directly facilitate a Simons swoop. The timeline surrounding Simons' future is complex, but has begun to crystallize. PSG, his parent club, remain a looming presence in the negotiations. The French champions inserted a clever buyback clause when they sold Simons to PSV Eindhoven, enabling them to re-sign him last summer before loaning him to RB Leipzig. That decision underlined their long-term faith in him, but the current situation is muddied by the player's own ambitions. Simons wants guaranteed minutes at the highest level, not just a return to Paris to compete with an already stacked squad. This has opened the door to Premier League suitors, with Chelsea moving from admiration to action. From Chelsea's perspective, the attraction of Simons is clear. He offers flexibility across midfield and forward lines, capable of operating as a dynamic number 8, a playmaker, or even cutting in from the wing. His pressing energy, vision, and ability to dictate transitions make him a natural fit for the intensity Enzo Maresca is expected to demand at Stamford Bridge. Pairing him with the likes of Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, and Christopher Nkunku would instantly give Chelsea a midfield capable of both controlling games and striking with precision. This is exactly the type of signing that shifts narratives from chaotic spending to calculated strengthening. But for all Chelsea's enthusiasm, the negotiations remain tangled in layers of strategy. PSG will not sanction an easy exit. Leipzig are lobbying for another season with Simons, and the player himself is weighing up which environment best serves his rise. The transfer timeline is therefore being dictated by careful steps. Talks are happening now, with groundwork being laid this month. Simons' decision is expected to be communicated before the end of August, aligning with PSG's final squad planning. Chelsea, aware of this window, are keen to strike swiftly by clarifying their own squad reshuffle, hence the parallel discussions around a defender who could depart. The identity of that defender has not yet been publicly confirmed, but speculation centers on players who have either struggled for minutes or consistency. Names like Trevoh Chalobah and Mark Cucurella have circulated in recent weeks as Chelsea consider how best to streamline their options. The logic is simple. To fund and justify a major addition like Simons, Chelsea must first trim where necessary. Opening talks about defensive exits is not just about finances, but also about clearing pathways in a squad that remains bloated. For a manager trying to build rhythm and chemistry, that clarity could be as important as the signings. Supporters are watching these developments with a mixture of intrigue and skepticism. Chelsea's transfer policy under the new ownership has been relentless, often scattergun, and while the talent pool has undeniably improved, cohesion has lagged behind. Xavi Simons represents a chance to correct that impression, a statement that Chelsea are not simply collecting names, but carefully targeting players who can define a project. The timing of these talks, coinciding with Maresca's first preseason, make them even more critical. The Italian coach will want his key squad members in place quickly, and Chelsea's ability to navigate this negotiation efficiently will set the tone for the months ahead. The wider European market is also watching closely. Arsenal, Manchester United, and even Bayern Munich have all been loosely linked with Simons at different points in the past year, testament to his universal appeal. If Chelsea can move decisively now, they could steal a march on rivals who might otherwise be tempted to enter the fray later in the summer. That urgency explains the reports of an emerging timeline. Chelsea do not want this deal to drag into September, risking distraction and competition. They are positioning themselves to act before the season fully settles. For Simons himself, the appeal of London cannot be underestimated. Chelsea offers him a chance to step into the Premier League spotlight, to test himself against the pace and physicality of English football, and to showcase his craft on the biggest club stage. There is also the lure of being central to a rebuild rather than a peripheral figure in Paris. If Chelsea can promise him a starring role and Champions League football in the near future, it may prove decisive. As talks progress, the next weeks will be pivotal. Chelsea must finalize which defender they are prepared to let go, they must convince PSG of their seriousness, and, most importantly, they must persuade Simons that this is his stage. The timeline is narrowing, the discussions are deepening, and the possibility of Stamford Bridge welcoming one of Europe's brightest young midfielders grows stronger by the day. Whether this story ends with Simons in blue, or simply adds another chapter to Chelsea's ever-chaotic transfer history, remains to be seen. What is certain, however, is that the London club have placed themselves firmly at the heart of this saga, with the football world waiting to see if they can deliver on their ambition this time. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Football Focus News for more breaking updates, inside stories, and club-exclusive reports.